Where were you when Hogan slammed Andre, Austin stunned Vince, or when the Montreal Screwjob took place? If you watched it live, you probably know, and the reason for that is because they were huge events in history. Even your mum knows about them. Now, admittedly, sometimes this happens and we have no clue because we didn't actually realize it was going to be a big deal. Let's not worry about that. For example, Stone Cold Steve Austin's 316 promo at the King of the Ring 1996. If anyone said they knew exactly what was coming down the line, I would have hit them in the face and called them a liar. What none of us remember are the events that come before this, though. Stands to reason in many ways because they just existed, but still, there's something fascinating in seeing what was the setup for events we're still talking about now. And with that in mind, let's jump into it. Not literally. I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is 10 forgotten WWE matches that came right before iconic moments. Number 10, William Regal vs. Crash Holly before Shane McMahon buys WCW. This is just great. As well as seeing William Regal just insult World Championship Wrestling before he even headed to the ring, this match barely lasted 3 seconds, which was the style at the time. If you've never seen the Attitude Era, just know match length wasn't high on the agenda. This scrap between the Brit and Crash Holly was broken up by one Chris Jericho, who was also dressed as Doink the Clown, cause why the hell not? Although there was a reason. Y2J was going to clash with Regal at WrestleMania 17, and given that WWE also had a gimmick battle royal scheduled for that, why not kill two birds with one stone? Didn't make any sense, but wrestling rarely does, let's be honest. When it was all said and done though, the famous Vince McMahon Shane McMahon simulcast happened seconds later, in which we saw the son outdo the father and buy WCW from a storyline perspective. It had already happened in the real world, but now there was definitely no going back. It was official on all fronts. There's another story here too, as it was also a night where Shawn Michaels was aghast that Jericho was forced to dress up as a clown, let his feelings be known, fell out with Triple H, and then vanished for a while. So never forget March 26th, 2001. Number 9, Chavo Guerrero vs. Kane before Ric Flair's last match in WWE. Now I actually do remember this for one major reason. Made the trip to WrestleMania 24, which was also my first appearance at the show of shows, and because of that, I haven't forgotten one damn thing. I can tell you what I ate for breakfast that day. It was a truly special occasion. Someone that definitely does want to forget is Chavo Guerrero, who did a great job in hiding the fact he was about to be crushed as he just swandered out to the ring. He was putting the ECW title on the line for the first time at Mania, which is some useless trivia for you, but man, it did not last long. Kane chokeslammed Chavo in seconds and won before either guy had even broken a sweat. It was weird. The reasoning seemed to be that because WWE was about to go full on emotion with Ric Flair's retirement match as he took on Shawn Michaels, some levity would have been appreciated by the crowd. I'm not sure that happened, but they certainly did buy into saying farewell to the Nature Boy as he was super kicked out of wrestling until he found himself in TNA. Number 8, Roman Reigns vs. Randy Orton before Brock Lesnar squashes John Cena. I love SummerSlam 2014. It's just such an odd show that finishes with John Cena, WWE's main dude, getting absolutely destroyed by Brockus Lesnar. If you're wondering why this happened, it's likely because it was Daniel Bryan's fate before he got injured and had to go away. As the title had found its way to Cena, he would have to take his place. Lesnar's demolishing was essential to the Beast's future. He'd already taken the Undertaker's streak this year and was now taking Big Match John's record, and he did so in only 16 minutes. Amazingly, before this, we got Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, who also went this length of time, but offered up something utterly different. Reigns was stuck in a chin lock for most of it. When the big dog finally fought his way back to smash the Viper with a massive spear, you be forgiven for thinking the crowd response was a little bit tepid. Sure, maybe they were just waiting for the main event, but it was also a small window into what was going to happen to Roman. The audience could already see what the plan was. Nobody was talking about this afterwards though. Lesnar had whooped Cena's ass so bad, fans just wanted to know what the deal was. 6 years later, we're aware WWE was going to push Brock as their guy, no matter what. Number 7, R-Truth vs. John Cena before CM Punk's pipe bomb promo. We all know that John Cena was laid out in a heap when CM Punk arrived to utterly change his own career, but nobody remembers that it was R-Truth he was fighting with. Today, Truth, as awesome as he is treated as a comedy character. The thought of him being in the ring with WWE's most important asset feels odd. But on the 27th of June 2011 Raw, this is what we got. Cena had actually lost to Truth in this match thanks to CM Punk interference, but that had not been the case the weeks prior. There at the Capital Punishment pay-per-view, John had defeated R to retain his championship. That's right, Truth was also involved in the world title picture. These were arguably better times. After Punk had done his bidding, however, he walked to the top of the ramp, got a mic, and sent a shot around the wrestling world. Even brought some fans back to WWE. The cool thing about it, though, is that because Truth did win here, he was kept near the top of the card for most of 2011. What a damn hero. Number 6, the HiC Kid and Tiger Jackson versus Dana Carpenter and Pancho Boy before Hulkamania is born. Madison Square Garden, January 23rd, 1984. Very much a night that would change the fortunes of the WWF. It also featured the HiC Kid, Tiger Jackson, Dana Carpenter, and Pancho Boy. If you don't know these four, they're little people, because in the mid-80s you couldn't get through a Vince McMahon show without seeing them on the card. For one reason or another, the boss just got a massive kick out of them. Placed before the main event, and after we'd seen a pretty heated contest for the IC title, surely nobody knew what was about to happen. Even still, these guys knew their role and engaged in an entertaining 2 out of 3 falls match that just went under 7 minutes. Those falls must have been happening at pace. Moments later, it would take Hulk Hogan less than 5 minutes to dispatch of the Iron Sheik to win his first world title, and he changed the whole damn globe. The fans went nuts when this happened as the Hulkster hammed it up as he was wont to do, and really, the ramifications of that are still being felt today. Without it, who even knows what the deal would be? Number 5, Tommy Dreamer versus Stevie Richards before Vince McMahon hires Eric Bischoff. Sparking off ruthless aggression as the Attitude Era came to an end, the July 15, 2002 episode of Raw was a good window into what was happening at the time. With ratings and interest going in the wrong direction, Vince McMahon brought in his number one enemy from nowhere. It seemed rushed, as surely the build to a pay-per-view reveal would have meant serious cash, but even then, seeing Bischoff hug McMahon on a WWE stage was shocking not just to the fans, but to the people that worked there too. Nobody thought this would ever go down. I mean, go and listen to Jerry Lawler's commentary at the time. He sounds actually stunned. Before that, however, you also got a good look at WWE's current output. Stevie Richards and Tommy Dreamer practically killed themselves for the hardcore titles as the audience watches on in apathy. It was no one's fault, it was just the law of diminishing returns, because we saw this kind of thing over and over again. There's only so many times you can see a table break before it doesn't mean what it once did. Bischoff did fit into his role as Raw GM excellently, but it was still mad. Eric had threatened to end McMahon's company years prior, and now he was just another employee. Somebody kick me in my ass. Number 4, Akira Tozawa versus Ariya Daivari before the Festival of Friendship. During a time when Raw would change the ropes purple and send the cruiserweights out to try and get over, Tozawa and Daivari had a good match as anybody was going to in less than 3 minutes. And we all know the deal with this. WWE has never been that into the division, and any hopes we had were quickly dashed. Now we have 205 Live, and that's another story. When it was over though, it was time for the Festival of Friendship featuring one Chris Jericho and featuring one Kevin Owens. We all look back on this and smile now, but it almost wasn't to be. With Vince McMahon being absent that evening, Jericho had to get clearance for some of his ideas over the phone, while also badgering Triple H to help him out. Thankfully, 13th of February 2017 was not a day that Chris was gonna be outgunned, and he set out a heel turn for Owens perfectly. It's a shame what happened at WrestleMania, but never mind. Number 3, the New Age Outlaws versus the Godwins before Austin versus Tyson. Much like the birth of Hulkamania, January 19th, 1998 changed WWE forever. Watching it now, it's kinda nuts too. When the New Age Outlaws and Godwins lock up, it's abundantly clear that this fan base didn't care about wrestling. They just wanted talking and violence, that was it. Hence why they all go nuts for Road Dogg's speech and then sit on their hands. What a strange time. The difference, of course, was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had the lot and the audience knew it, so even if he just came out and blinked, they all went crazy. This happened on a much wider scale when he went toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson as the world came together to see what was going to happen. They didn't let anyone down either, even if they just pushed each other and attempted a brawl. It was carnage. It sent the Rattlesnake on to the next level, and the sheer intrigue of what Tyson was going to do locked viewers in. Turned the tide as WCW was also about to implode, and minutes prior, we had a guy called Phineas I. Godwin because he was a farmer and his initials spelled pig. Think of that. That is known as a juxtaposition. Number 2, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan before The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania is made official. Sheamus and Daniel Bryan are like Batman and the Joker. For some reason, Vince McMahon loved pairing them off against each other all the time around 2011, and he did it again on the 4th of April Raw. Thankfully, these two also enjoyed it, so all was well, and hopefully one day we'll get them on WrestleMania again so they can have a proper fight as opposed to Bryan having his head knocked off in 18 seconds. It did seem like that could be the case in 2020 before WrestleMania died in front of our eyes, and I would guess Daniel and Sheamus would have appreciated this because years ago, just before they were going to scrap it out at WrestleMania 27, they got booted to the kickoff show, and then that match halfway through became a battle royal. Don't worry about it, just know it was another kick in the balls. What that meant though was the next night on Raw we finally got this one-on-one challenge, but even then we didn't get through it without some nonsense. Sheamus did win after a bro kick, but when he was done he continued to whoop Bryan's ass. This led to Sin Cara making his debut for WWE, and we all know how that went. Poor guy, tried so hard. Right after this too, a pair of the biggest names in pro wrestling came out to the ring and did indeed set up The Rock versus John Cena for WrestleMania 28, which was 12 months away. Once in a lifetime, they said. Then it happened twice, but still, this was quite the talking point at the time, and it was pretty damn fun. Number 1, Owen Hart versus Brian Pillman before Stone Cold's first stunner on Vince McMahon. We mentioned it in the intro, and there's a reason for that. It was a huge deal. Just as Stone Cold Steve Austin was finding himself, so was Vince McMahon, and in September 1997 he wasn't quite the over-the-top maniac that he would become. The Montreal Screwjob would seal that deal, but it all actually helped. McMahon was just the boss here, so when the Rattlesnake went after him physically, fans lost their brains. It almost felt real. Before we even got here, however, we had two of the best ever, Owen Hart and Brian Pillman. Duking it out as Marlena stood in Pillman's corner after he had basically stolen her from Goldust, the movie star stopped this match from finishing when he interfered to try and rip Brian's head off. That left Owen in the ring to dedicate his victory to brother Brett, and almost as soon as he said those words, Austin appeared, breaking a restraining order in the process, and beat Owen like the cliched government mule. It led to McMahon getting in the ring to try and calm Steve down, and that is not what Austin wanted to hear. Vince wasn't even being that aggressive here, he was just trying to get the Texans to see sense. That's what made the build so good. The chairman of the board sold this stunner like he was being electrocuted, which was bizarre, but you'd be a fool to criticize this segment. It was the start of something truly evolutionary. Know of any other forgotten matches that came right before iconic moments? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles, and follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. My name is Simon from What Culture, and I will talk to you again soon.